a message for my people.
Nick Dad, baby. We the new label.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, son.
Now this the black sheep, sticking its home. I need a crib like I'm Gatsby.
I need it.
In hand, just understand my
Pockets that deep.
with nothing to prove. I ain't got nothing to do, and they can't compete, and I got nothing to lose.
My man, back in the building. Great cut by our dog Isaiah.
He was there. He
in the
was ready
studio.
for
Let's
it.
go, man. Back in the building. Back at the win. All things Veterans Minimum are at Veterans Minimum. I'm your host, Nick Dais, at Nick Dais 10. Vacation George.
Yeah, you
Let's
said
get an
that.
ISO on George. Look at this guy.
You said that to me initially, bro. I'm gonna tell you right now. This hat got so fucked up in my suitcase. I've been trying to like reshape it. I was like, I'm going for it
Yeah.
because I still feel like I'm in
Yeah.
Puerto Rico.
You got the chest hair coming out, looking like an extra in Scarface.
I'm definitely getting extra looks today by the people that walk past the little studio
Yeah.
that we have here, the windows. The
Yeah.
ladies are looking in.
By the way, summertime at the win. The talent. I mean, great girls just walking left and right. I got to switch my seat. I'm a handsome bachelor playing the field, single.
Yep.
Max contract is on the way. Whoever wants it, do it now because the price is going up. It's gonna
Yeah.
be too late for you. However, you, great girl, married, all that. I think we got to swap seats.
Yeah. I mean, I think you've been holding yourself back.
I have. Yeah.
I'm
locked in.
You're dialed into, not only sports betting, but also just managing talent
Yeah.
all around, managing all types of talent.
I mean, one of the best to ever do it. The world just doesn't know about it yet. You know what I'm saying?
They're going to have to sign a prenup here pretty soon if they ain't careful, dude.
I'm going to have you heard of Hakimi, the soccer player
No,
from PSG?
no.
So he's a very well-known soccer player, plays for PSG, took Morocco to the semifinals. He famously was married to a model in Europe. They got a divorce. When she went to the courts, turns out all his assets signed under his mother's name. So she ended up getting, I think, I could be wrong, she ended up getting like $100,000 in the divorce in comparisons to like 30 million she could have. So basically, we study Hakimiisms over here on Veterans Minimum. So shout out to Hakimi and shout out, we got a special guest. We waited too long to introduce him. He's sweating over there. My boy, Matty Betts, once again in the studio. What's good, bro?
What up, bro? We need Luka to come through for us. Luka and Kyrie.
Yeah, at the time of recording, it's the fourth quarter of game one for the Mavs. This episode is going to go on Monday for those of you listening to it now. George and I were telling Maddie right before we started recording how, I get it, bro, it's the worst. Like, we have to record when games are going on, but we're not going to say no to recording in the studio, so we got to kind of sacrifice.
Yeah.
How's Vegas been treating you? Because I know you were supposed to leave 4 days ago. You're still here.
Yeah, I was supposed to get out of here Sunday night. I was supposed to fly back through the night, land in Florida Monday morning, do my podcast. Wasn't able to get out of here just for a multitude of reasons. And then the tables have been hot, so I just keep playing. Supposed to leave Monday, then I was supposed to leave Tuesday, then Wednesday, and then here we are now. I'm leaving tonight. But it's been a fun trip.
It's going to be even better if
Luka comes through.
If
Yeah.
Luka can pull this out right now, dude.
Yeah.
I can feel it. I mean, you win a couple of bathroom trips. I don't know if it's just overhydrated, or if that's your like.
He's on like his 8th bottle of water. Since
bro. Like, but you're also sweating the bet.
I
So
drink
like,
so much coffee, bro. I had like 3 coffees since I got here.
oh, there we go. This is the ultimate reason why people come and listen to the show, Nick, is because we all like to feel like that.
I'll never not do it. I'll never not bet. I like to say I bet. I don't gamble.
Yeah.
You like to gamble
Oh, yeah. For sure.
on the tables. I met Maddie here at in Vegas. He was on the table. He's like, yo, come to the table. I'm on a heater. And then, a little bit of a swing, but he's like, I'm still good. I'm still up.
Yeah.
But my whole life has been like, yo, bro, I want to make enough money that I could degen and not it be a burden. Like, fuck. Because, dude, I'm sure you have too, bro, because I feel like every real degenerate are like the people that didn't get into betting because it became popular and mainstream, like the ones that have been doing it from teenage years and younger.
Right.
You all have those stories where like you owed your bookie way more money than money you were bringing in.
Bro,
Like, bro,
I could tell you so many.
Bro, I used to deliver pizza and I would make $400 a week, I would bet $600 a week. Like, so I was constantly chasing and shit. And like, you know, at the time I was young. I was like in early 20s, still in college, fresh out of dropping out of college. And the thing that really saved me, bro, truthfully, and not trying to like, you know, sound like motivational or whatnot, was the podcast. Because I stopped betting for like 3 years because the rush I would get from giving people plays on the show, like, yo, you should take the Eagles -3. I like it. And then when people would hit me up like, yo, good call, I would get the same like rush.
Yeah.
You know, and in some cases I was like, damn, that might be better because
It is
now,
better.
now that guy tweets it out to his audience. And then if 10 people could come and listen, and then before you know, you're building a community. So for me, like I had to fucking sell my Xbox, sell sneakers, sell jerseys to like pay my bookies and shit. So I've been through it, man. But now I'm in a spot where like, you know, you got a couple sponsors, the show's doing well, you're making some money. You're like, yeah, you know, losing 500 isn't as detrimental as it used to be.
Yeah. But when I was 16 in high school growing up, I used to go to my neighborhood bookie's office. He owned like the big truck company. He owned all these businesses, but his real gig was like, he was the York, Pennsylvania bookie. Everyone bet through him. And I would go to his office at 16 years old. I would play poker with like 60-year-old men, like all the businessmen of like York, Pennsylvania. And I would just go crazy playing poker with all of them. And then I got so in over my head on a credit line. I was like 16, 17 years old. I lost so much money that my mom went, because she knew who he was. She literally drove to his house, knocked on his door and said, I'm going to pay my son's tab off in one condition. And he's like, what's that? She's like, you never take a bet from him again. And so she paid off my tab. And then when I turned 18, I started betting through him again.
Oh my God.
Oh, bro. Yeah, I've had that happen too, man. I've had that. I put my parents through hell until I got to this position now. And, you know, these conversations, I'm sure, Maddie, you feel the same way too, bro. They're a lot easier to have when you kind of become successful, or everyone has a different definition of success. But like, now that we've turned our love for betting and gambling, however you want to phrase it, into like a brand, and, you know, you have multiple shows, you own a company that we'll get to in a little bit too, and you're building this whole empire, which is super fucking dope. It's a lot easier, bro. It's like what I say about dropping out of college, right? Until like this shit worked out, I wasn't going around leading with, yo, I dropped out of college. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have anything
For sure. To
like,
be proud
show,
of.
right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, fucking, I'm sure if Mark Zuckerberg didn't turn Facebook into what it was, people would think he was an idiot for doing what he did, right?
True.
Like the success story, it makes the, I guess, downfall initially that much more cooler.
Very true. And then when you are like coming back from it, it's a story you get to tell on podcasts all the time. That's like the number one thing. Like I always thought like, damn, I'll never be a good podcaster. Like I never slept in my car, and like life was actually like pretty fucking sweet for me. And everybody that I hear on a podcast was like, well, I was homeless for 6 months and I fucking made it out the mud. And it's like, you know, I owed my bookie some money. Like that's, it's a different type of hustle, I guess.
It is, man. And
Different struggle.
everyone got their stories. Everyone got their thing.
True.
And it's cool, though. It's cool to degen as we shout out to Isaiah, man. Who's better than Isaiah? You got the game on there for us right now. So we'll be distracted and sweating it out. But I do want to get into what we're going to talk about for this episode. And it's dope to have Maddie on because he's an Eagles fan, unfortunately. Listen, not everyone's perfect. Right?
Yeah, that's my number one flaw. I always tell people, Eagles fans are like the scum of the earth. I'm an Eagles fan. It's just, it is what it is.
So we're going to talk about NFC teams. We're calling this episode 3 in, 3 out. Since the start of the new NFL playoff layout, right, where there's 7 teams per conference, on average, you have 6 new playoff teams that make the playoffs that didn't the year before, George.
Mm-hmm.
So just for segment sakes and episode sakes, we're just saying there's going to be 3 from the AFC, 3 from the NFC. It's not always the case, but just for this episode and for the AFC one we'll do in a couple of weeks, it's just going to be easier to just divide it by 2 and have it like that, right? So I have a list of the teams that made the playoffs last year in the NFC. And, you know, you'll pick a team, he'll pick a team, we'll pick a team, and kind of you're in, you're out.
Plead the
why,
case.
right? So last year's playoff teams in the NFC. Niners, Rams, Buccaneers, Cowboys, Eagles, Packers, Lions. And like we said, on average, there's 6 new teams to make the NFL playoffs that didn't the year before. So you're our guest, Maddie. Give us a team that made the playoffs last year that won't make it this year, and then tell us who you got going in for.
I mean, is it biased if I pick the Cowboys to not make the not make the playoffs?
That's one of mine also. Yeah. So I like that, but go on and I'll add to it.
I mean, look, the Cowboys, I still can't believe, won the division last year. Like we were up the whole season. Cowboys make that run. But no, I think the Cowboys, I would pick them to miss the postseason this year. And then you said just one team that didn't make it to make it?
Yeah. While you think about that, I'm gonna add to that because I feel the same way. I don't like what's happening in Dallas. I think the fact that they've kind of given up on Dak Prescott without saying so, like voiding the last 2 years and now the new contract negotiations. And again, right, it's like a blessing and a curse to have a guy like Dak, a guy like Tua. We talk about this shit all the time. Last year when the Dolphins and the Cowboys played each other, it was a Spider-Man meme. Cheap plug for the tattoo as we got that going. But it was basically the same team, same quarterback. Those guys are amazing in the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, they kind of just hit the ceiling, right? You just know it's second round and that's it, right? And look, there's a lot of teams that you can say that for, but with Dallas, you got Micah Parsons contract issues. You got CeeDee Lamb. You got the offensive line now is not as powerful of a unit as it once was. You have some changes on defense too. You lose Dan Quinn. We've seen the impact shit. He saw it in his team. They lost both their coordinators last year, and it takes a while, even though they came out to a hot start. I think Philly was like 10-1 at one point. I think Dallas, I'm glad that you mentioned Dallas because they were one of my teams. The team that I have going in for Dallas is actually Chicago. We'll get to Chicago in just a sec. But Dallas, if you look at their odds, plus 180 to not make the playoffs. I like that a lot. I'm going to go a step further, bro. Before you guys slander me, just remember 40-1 Patriots to have the worst record in the league last year. I made that bet. And if it wasn't for Bryce Young, point shaving, I know it's some serious allegations, but bro,
no.
he hit some games, bro. He hit some games where like he threw like a pick six every week. It was pretty bad. And Carolina was so bad.
I think that team cost him more money than any team the whole season because every week there was value on the Panthers. You're like, this is the week they're getting too many points. They're really not that bad of a team. And then every week they're about to cover and then there's a pick six and some shit happens.
Yeah. Bro, and I couldn't agree with you more. We put the Panthers in the circa millions like 6 times. I think we went like 1-5. The only time we were right on them was when they played the Texans. And I remember saying like, yo, this is a game that they're going to get up for because it's Bryce Young versus CJ Stroud. They're going to play for their guy. They ended up, that was one of the 2 wins that they had. But if it wasn't for the Panthers being so bad, that 40-1, and look, they ended up with the 3 seed, right? I'm not going to go that far and say that the Cowboys are going to have the number 1 pick, but what I am saying is a bet that I'm definitely going to make is going to be McCarthy first coach fired.
I like that.
I think that is very much in play. You look at the schedule, right? They have a week 7 bye. Prior to that, they have at Cleveland, home Saints, home Ravens, at Giants on a short week, at Pittsburgh, home Detroit. You're looking at 2-4. You know, I think 2-4 is really possible. I like playing these games in my head, like, you know, every fan does that. But man, if they're like 2-4, they drop one of these games at home, which Dallas historically lays a massive egg at home. This is the same team that was a 16-point favorite against the Cardinals and lost outright as Ant-Man hits a 3, as we're watching here off the corner. But Mike McCarthy, 30-1 to be first coach fired.
30-1?
That's insane. That's great value.
What book is that on?
I'll tell you after because they're not a sponsor of the show, so we're not going to give out cheap plugs. But you know, you could find 20-1, you could find 30-1. There's like 18-1.
Who has the best odds to be fired?
the favorite to be fired is actually my boy Brian Dable.
Why is it not Dennis Allen?
Ooh, Dennis Allen's a good one too.
Yeah.
But I just think the Cowboys, it's in play. It's in play for them to miss the playoffs, because then after the bye week, they're at San Fran, at Atlanta, they play Philly, they play Houston, at Washington, which, you know, they have a new regime going in there. We'll get to Washington in just a bit. Like, yo, this schedule, they got some tough games, and I think them not making the playoffs is not out of the question.
Yeah, no, I think they were on the cusp of it last year, and they had to play their asses off. And their defense got so lucky last year, and I think that was their biggest upside. But other than that, McCarthy should have been fired at the end of last season. So the fact that you're getting him at 30-1 is absolutely insane. I thought it was going to be a package deal. Headlines read, Dallas, there's a new mayor in town. Jerry Jones clones himself, makes himself head coach. Something like that. But, okay, I'm going to give you my one team that I got coming out. I got the Packers. Your Packers are one of my teams that are on the outs. Although they had an amazing season last year, they lost their workhorse to the team that I am now selecting to replace them, and that is the Minnesota Vikings. So I want the Vikings, JJ McCarthy. You also have Sam Darnold, who I think you're going to have like a legitimate quarterback battle in the summer. And then you got Aaron Jones running the rock for the Vikings, which is huge. And then they got a lot of different linebackers in the offseason. I think that one of the things that I liked about the Vikings schedule is they play the Packers early in Lambeau. And then when, it's crunch time for the division, they play them second to last week at home. And for JJ McCarthy, dude, I mean, how sweet is it to get your first quarterback start and be able to throw the rock to Justin Jefferson? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, not a bad play.
How many rookie quarterbacks get to come in and throw it to a potential MVP?
Yeah, I mean, he's already won Offensive Player of the Year. Shout out to me, 16-1 2 years ago. Also gave out CMC, 20-1 last year. We have an Eagles fan in the building right now, and we were texting the other day. I'm like, bro, Saquon Barkley, 35-1.
I love that.
The fact that I haven't wagered on it yet is criminal.
Bro, I'm taking that, and I'm taking the 30-1 McCarthy after we leave this podcast.
Yeah, bro, I'm so confident that he's gonna win Offensive Player of the Year, Barkley, because best situation he's ever been in. He's not gonna face 8-man or 7-man boxes because you got Dallas Goedert, you got Smith, you got Brown, you got the read option with Jalen Hurts.
I bet you he's gonna take about half of Jalen's rushing TDs away.
Yeah. So all the pushback that I've gotten from this are but Jalen Hurts is going to score. It's like, well, he might take half of those. That's been my case.
Yeah.
It's like, I literally think if I have the number one pick in fantasy, I'm taking Saquon Barkley. If you're like, but he gets hurt, cool. If you wear 3 condoms when you have sex, that's a you issue. I'm going to take him because he's probably going to be the best player in fantasy. Yep. You can't look at what he's done with the Giants, bro. It's been a dumpster fire since he got there. Yeah. He hasn't had a team like this, and I think he's going to have the CMC year that CMC had last year.
And the
the
Eagles, we're not going to want to if we don't have to rush Jalen for these QB sneaks and 1-yard runs all the time, we're not going to do it. You can just hand it to Saquon now. You don't want Jalen to take that much punishment all the time. I mean, it's just not worth it. Saquon, I think, is a game changer for us.
And I think, to your point, Maddie, that's another reason why I like this, because Saquon is a 2-year investment, right? How they treat running backs. And also, I think Philly saw, this push-tush or tush-push, whatever you call it, the Philly special thing, all that stuff that they do, it's dope, it's cool, it's a trending topic on social media whenever it happens, but you saw Jalen Hurts' play start to diminish a little bit because he was taking this unnecessary damage. Because bro, now you saw how teams were attacking them, George. It was we're putting everyone there. It's 1,000 pounds of fucking big guys just landing on them and shit. So I really like Saquon. I know we got sidetracked. I want to push back a little bit on your Packers take.
Oh yeah, I know you are. Yeah,
this is a Green Bay's Packers
low key,
podcast now.
Change
really
the logo,
is.
dude.
It really is.
Put the piece of fucking cheese on your logo.
They got Josh Jacobs. And I I think he's a great fit for Green Bay. All their skill position players are going into year 2 or 3. They're all young. They haven't paid anyone yet. They don't need to. I don't want to say that they're all in on this year because then next year they'll have to make a decision on Jordan Love, but it's the year 2 leap for the quarterback. Mind you, I know it's not his second year in the league, but it's going to be his second year starting. I really like Green Bay a lot, man. And I think people got to remember that they're not playing a first place schedule because they won the wild card. Mm-hmm. And you might say, yo, first place, second place, fourth place schedule, does it matter? It's like, yeah, it does matter, dude. Because if you're the Bengals in the AFC, instead of playing Kansas City, Buffalo, and Houston, you're going to play Tennessee, New England, and fucking the Raiders. It's like, yeah, that's a massive difference if you're Cincinnati than having to play the other teams that went first in your division. So it's a difference of 3 games, but you see it all the time. It comes down to a game or 2.
Yep.
So having that road, I'm pretty biased about the Packers, even though I'm not a fan. I love them this year. I think my hot take is that, 10 of the last 11 Super Bowl winners have been top 5 favorites. I don't think it's going to be a top 5 favorite this year. The Packers are 8th. So it's not really like, I'm not giving you a 90-1 play, but
yeah,
I just think that the Packers are going to improve drastically. They're still one of the teams that I do have going back into the playoffs and replacing the Cowboys. I got Chicago, bro. I love what Chicago has done the last 2 off seasons. Caleb Williams just needs to be competent, right? Because they had some issues at quarterback last year. Like they benched Fields and the other guy came in.
Yeah.
And I just think with the additions that they've made, they got Keenan Allen now. They spent the first round pick on a receiver also. They got DeAndre Swift to come back into the NFC North. They just got to protect them. I still do think that their tackles are going to be a liability, but Chicago, they weren't almost a playoff team last year, but I think
they played tough football.
Yeah, I think he can improve them. So I got Chicago coming in for Dallas.
Do you know what their odds are to make the postseason?
The Bears to make the playoffs are -110.
Oh, wow.
Plus 105, no. So it's, and also remember, bro, the NFC is super
pretty.
Weak.
Yeah,
we're up 4 with 40 seconds left.
Bro, Luka is my dog.
Come on, baby.
Yeah, Luka's.
I want this bad, bro.
Let's go. Shout out to everyone that used Rebet and played the Kyrie Irving over 20.5. We get the rebound, Luka. Let's go. George, give us another team that you have coming out.
This one may surprise a lot of people, but they played tough last year, man. And they fall into that category of a team that had a lot of one possession losses. But I am going to have the Cardinals replacing the Rams for a couple of reasons.
Real quick, I have the Rams as one of my outs. I don't have the Cardinals in, but I like where you're going.
Okay, I was doing a lot of division switches because in my opinion, there's always that race in the division where it's like you get to play your division rival in the last 2 weeks. Can you make a big time win in order to make it in? And I think the Cardinals this year have that same opportunity with the Rams. Their leading receiver last year was Trey McBride, and they were still competent in a lot of games. So being able to add, which I think is the receiver of this draft class that everyone's going to remember, Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray under a team, like when you look at all their free agent pickups in the offseason, none of them are appealing, but it's almost what makes it appealing. You know what I mean? It's like stacking the offensive line, getting some stout D tackles, finding different corners. They got Sean Murphy Bunting or whatever his first name was. But the Cardinals to me are like a team that I think can surprisingly compete to win that division, as crazy as it sounds, especially if the 49ers fuck around at all. So yeah, that's my second team that I got coming in. What about you?
I like your take on the Rams on taking them out. I was honestly going to say, and you actually kind of sold me on the Cardinals, but I was going to say the Seahawks, like they were 9-8 last year. Geno Smith, like I think he's a little underrated. Like he's a little streaky sometimes, but he has got good weapons around him, and I just like the organization in general in Seattle. And I think it could be between them and the Cardinals for like a wild card. But I'm not ready to take the 49ers out of first of that division though. I think they're too good.
They got that locked.
And they still got the Brock Purdy contract.
Yep.
Right.
That's why
It's a cheat code.
Yeah, it's a cheat code, man. He's making $980,000.
Yeah.
Like punters make more than him. Kickers make more than him.
I've always wondered, can you as an NFL quarterback like that just say like, I'm fucking out of this?
You
like
could,
I don't.
but it'd be so stupid. He's about to get paid in a year. Right?
Yeah.
In another year. So you just
He's gonna make $200 million guaranteed.
In our lifetime, we'll see it though. We'll see a rookie quarterback pop off and then say,
you'd have to have an idiot advising him though.
Yeah.
I mean, look what Jalen did. You know, you just waited out.
Yeah, it's weird, man, because you put such a big. It only helps you in a way, right? Because you play. So here's the thing. You mentioned Kyler Murray before. One of the first videos I ever had go like relative viral, right? I know it's subjective because like for me, 200,000 views at the time was like, holy shit, I've never had this happen. But it was around the time when Kyler Murray declared to go to the NFL instead of playing baseball. And I was doing the show back in the day with a bunch of other guys. And they were like, bro, he's an idiot for not playing baseball, like the contracts. I was like, bro, he's not a running back. He's not a DB. He's a quarterback.
Yeah.
They barely get touched. And if you're just an average starter, you're going to get $40 million a year. Daniel Jones, right?
Yep.
Like,
plus, when you're a quarter, even if, I know there's probably more money in baseball, like collectively or overall, but if you're a star quarterback of your team, the money you make off the field and long-term from being that guy is also huge.
But also just the fact that you're a quarterback, like you're playing a position that is the breadwinner of the league and of the team.
Mm-hmm.
And like also you got to remember, if you're going into baseball, you're probably going to go into the minor leagues at first. You're not going to be an immediate fucking second baseman for the Mets. You're going to go into the minor leagues where his rookie year, he's playing on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
It's like you want this guy to be in fucking Iowa or Idaho. Shout out to Idaho. Actually, not shout out to Idaho. You know how we feel about you as a state. But like you want him riding the bus on like a AAA affiliate for the fucking Padres or some shit. It's like, nah, bro, you're going to go play quarterback. So to your point with the Brock Purdy thing, I think when you're a rookie quarterback and you're on that contract, it only helps you because you're going to get paid eventually. Like, dude, we saw Dak's ankle snap in half, got paid. Joe Burrow blew out his knee his rookie season, still ended up getting paid. But it only helps you because then your team improves. Your team is good. That's why the Niners got, I think, 8 guys that are top 5 in salary in their position. So I don't think you'll ever see that happen.
Bro,
I think you just wait it out. Like
this is the free throw to clinch it.
Kyrie?
I need this bad, bro.
Kyrie?
I don't want to split this.
The bucket.
Let's
Of course,
go.
of course it's
Kai.
trash,
Let's
bro.
go.
Kai dollar sign,
Bro,
baby.
I just cleaned up
Meditated.
on this game. I took Kyrie over PRA and I took Mavs money line live plus 200.
Let's go,
I'm so
man.
pumped. I'm rescheduling my flight, bro. I'm staying.
Did he
Staying in
fell?
Vegas.
That was
That was
a big
good.
shot there. That was a big shot there.
There will
So huge,
just
bro.
possibly like a money hungry type court. You have to win a Super Bowl your rookie year.
I don't know, man. It's look,
And then
you never
be-
want to say never, right? Because you always, but it would take, you have to be like a really, like, you'd have to be that guy. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like if Mahomes could have got away with it because he won a Super Bowl his second year starting.
There are like people out there that if they would have done it, everybody would have been like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Brock Purdy, I think fits in that category. NFC Championship, back-to-back
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
You
that's
fit into
true.
that category.
I don't know. That's an interesting talking point. Let us know in the comments, man. Tweet at us, DM us what you guys think about that. I think an obvious in and out is in the division you like rooting for. I don't think the Bucks make the playoffs again.
I'm with you. I'm with
and
you on that.
It's kind of square, but I think Atlanta. I think Atlanta goes in for them as a division winner. Like they get Kirk Cousins, and I think this team was like ready. You know, like ready is kind of also subjective. Like I think they're a playoff team with a Kirk Cousins. Again,
Mhm.
Kirk Cousins is dope.
Kirk is good, bro.
Kirk is good, man. I think Kirk is good. I think he had that stigma on him when he was in Washington and he was like 1-18 on primetime games,
Yeah.
but he's solid, bro. Like I would take him on the Giants in a heartbeat. Now coming off the Achilles, there's a lot of uncertainty there and see how it happens. But I made the case when all the coaches got fired, bro, like back in January, that if I was a coach, I would pick Atlanta as the destination because young running back, young receiver, young tight end, above average offensive line, weak ass division.
I
Like,
think their offense is going to be clicking.
yeah, I think you're gonna unlock Drake London,
Yeah.
Bijan, Kyle Pitts. Like, bro, you got to remember, Kirk made Jordan Reed a thing. Remember
Mhm.
Jordan Reed before he got all the concussions? Logan Thomas was like catching passes in Washington. Then he gets Hawkinson. He's catching passes. So like he loves the tight end. I think this could be a monster Kyle Pitts here.
I think he's very upset too over the whole Michael Penix draft pick thing. Like I can visibly see like a little more upset Kirk Cousins.
Bro,
He's
also,
coming across a little Aaron Rodgers. Like I'm not even kidding. Like in some of his post game or post practice pressers, I'm like, what the hell is this? This isn't the polished Minnesota Kirk.
well, bro, also you got to remember, like this dude, not only was he upset by it, Arthur Blank went to the draft room when they drafted Penix, and he was like, what are we doing? We just gave Kirk $135 million. Like, come on, man. It's a weird one there, but then when you look at it, like, you know, the Jordan Love thing, right?
Mhm.
You invest in a quarterback and just have him sit and wait. You're not rushing him into it. So I get that too. But I think Tampa Bay lost a couple pieces. Baker loses his coordinator, who ends up going now. He's the quarterback, not the quarterback. He's the head coach, Canales, with the Panthers. And that matters, bro. Like Baker had a career year with that guy. Now he leaves. And now you're playing a first place schedule. So you're Tampa Bay. You're playing Dallas, even though we shit on Dallas before. You're playing the Lions. You're playing the Niners, as opposed to last year when you didn't play those top teams. So that was kind of the obvious one for me. And I feel like a lot of people will have that.
Yeah, the NFC South has 3 of the 4 easiest schedules based on win percentages from last year. And then even though the Bucs are playing a first place schedule, they're only like 3 slots above. So like, I mean, the division is absolute trash. I think you will have a new winner in there, and I don't see why it can't be my Saints. I think if Derek Carr has a full year of health, that is the only way it is possible for the Saints to make it. The Saints haven't had a healthy quarterback play a whole season since like Drew Brees' second to last year, because even his last year, Drew was pretty fucked up. I think this could possibly be the season that everybody remembers Derek Carr for. And that is why I got the Saints replacing the Bucs. It was a game off last year, dude. They lost to him at home, and it was definitely tough.
You know who
as a Saints
the
fan.
favorite is in that division? I would be surprised if it's the Falcons.
It
Oh,
is.
it is about-
Falcons
okay.
minus 105 right now. Tampa plus 295. Saints plus 330. Panthers 11-1.
I was about to say. I'd
The
be
Falcons
20-1.
feel so square at like
I
even
know.
money almost.
I know. Yeah, it feels like they're begging you to
I
take
just think
that
they're
bet.
way more talented
Yeah,
across the
Mhm.
board than everyone, bro.
yeah. And look, I made the same case for the Saints last year, where they're gonna have a bunch of games indoors.
Yeah.
You know, like I remember a bet that I had, and what did the Saints start like 3-1 last year? Weren't they like? I feel like they might have been, because I made a bet on them 45-1 to be the number 1 seed in the NFC in the whole league, like the best record
Oh,
in the
wow.
league. And my case was like, yo, I'm a Derek Carr guy. 13 of 17 games indoors.
Yeah.
He's not gonna have to worry about like spiraling conditions in the winds in the
we
North
started
End.
3-2.
3-2. So I don't know. It's a weird one, man. But for me, that was. I agree with you. I think there's going to be a new division winner. The Bucs feel like the most obvious one of a team that won it last year that won't this year. And like I said, I agree with you with the Bucs. The last one for me, bro. I don't know what it is, man, but I really like Washington this year. I like Daniels coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of new quarterback with a new head coach coming in.
Mm.
Ron Rivera, hell of a story. Like, you know, he battled the sickness and then he came back, and Riverboat Ron, it feels like the last couple of years he wasn't really, where was it going on 4th down? Where was it going for 2 that made you such a like popular figure?
Yeah.
You got a nickname developed, right? Riverboat Ron.
I mean, it was the
But
cancer.
It's
was
something,
making him, play wild like that.
Something went down, man. And
Yeah.
then obviously like the dumpster fire that Washington is, which could be its own like Netflix special
Yeah.
on what Washington is. But look, man, they got some studs. They got some studs on both sides of the ball. And I've been staring at plus 800 to win the division. I don't want to go that crazy because I think this year the pick is Philly to win the division. Like there hasn't been a repeat winner since 2002 in that division. But Washington to make the playoffs at plus 260, that's definitely going to be one of those Patreon plays that we'll be putting out like preseason. Do you like putting futures this early?
I'm not huge on futures in general.
Yeah.
I gotta really like something to like say, hey, hold my money for a whole season, you know? But I mean, I get, you know me, I get on my long shots just on a weekend, like a UFC card, you know? But I mean, obviously, I will say like future bets for the average bettor is great because like.
Can you bring that mic a little closer to you? Yeah.
You get action for a whole season without having to have action on every game.
Right.
So I do think, there is value for a lot of people, but it's just got to make sense. Like when you told me the two futures today, you said 30-1 on McCarthy and 35-1 on, was it Saquon?
Yeah.
Dude, I love those. I would run to the counter right now and bet those.
Yeah.
So it just depends.
Yeah. It's weird, right? Because I feel like this is going to sound hypocritical because I once bet the moment the Stafford went to the Rams, 15-1, I bet it that day. Ended up cashing. But then I've made bets in the past and then guys get injured. And then that 20-1 is now 80-1 because the guy got hurt. So I like to wait until like Labor Day weekend, which is the weekend before week 1 for the most part. But sometimes the number is just too good. If I'm like I'm hell bent on Saquon, like there's no one else in my mind that I'm going to bet for Offensive Player of the Year. So that I would do it now because like nothing's going to, even if he goes down to 20-1, like, yeah, that's a massive, like I lose a lot of value, but I'm still going to bet it. So, but I want to see how Rodgers is going to look with the Jets because kind of like the Jets this year. We'll get to them in the AFC edition. But with futures, it's weird. I love futures. I'm a big futures guy. Holding on to Mavericks futures, Rangers futures, and hockey. Like, I like futures.
You call them sports stocks.
Yeah, they're investments.
They're just investments. You just what do they call those, CDs or whatever?
Because think about it, right?
Those deposits are.
Think about it. You bet on the Texas Rangers. What did you get on them last year?
I got them at 60-1 at opening day.
And then when the playoffs started, what were they?
They were 25-1.
What would you rather be holding?
Obviously 60-1.
Right. So sometimes that's why. Like I have a Mavericks future, them to win the finals, 18-1 when the playoffs started. Now, before this series started, they were plus 500.
Yeah.
Like
that's a great number.
It's a great number to have, especially when the odds shift like that. So for me, back to Washington, I think the new quarterback, you've seen rookie quarterbacks come in, and especially guys like Daniels, who he's a little older, right? He's not 20 coming into the league, or 21. He's a little older. He's coming off a Heisman year. The excitement in DC, and he's kind of a wild card. Like he's not as polished as some of the other guys. Some people have deemed him as like still a project.
Yeah.
Was it the receivers he was playing with? Because, Neighbors went in the first round. The other guy, Thomas, I think his name was, from LSU, he went in the first round. So like, was it them that helped? So I just think there's something about Washington that jumped out. And also the NFC is pretty trash. And
well, they also got the touchdown king, Austin Eckler.
Yeah. That too. They got a guy to check the ball down to.
They got Eckler and they got Zach Ertz. And Zach Ertz was, he's been a pretty steady target for the last 5 years. And you got Marcus Mariota, 2 Heisman. Dude, how many NFL teams could say I got 2 Heisman winners playing quarterback for me?
Yeah.
It's pretty rare. And I'm with you on the Commanders making a slight jump. I think that division is very difficult.
Yeah.
You only get a break if you're playing the Giants, but
Nick, I don't know if you can parlay these, but why don't you just parlay McCarthy to get fired with the Commanders making the playoffs? Because they're correlated in a way.
Yeah.
Shit, you could probably do that with the Eagles too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, like Eagles to make the playoffs and McCarthy. Those would be crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Those payouts would be fucking wild. Do you have another one before we wrap?
No, I gave you mine. I gave you the.
Maddie,
I
you
gave
got
you my
another team
Saints,
that jumps out to you?
Cardinals, and Vikings.
No, I think you guys covered. I love the Bears take. I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody stopping the Lions this year. Nobody.
Yeah.
Lions ain't never gonna stop. But yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. NFC's going to be interesting, man. I think you're going to see, I would say that, I think AFC's going to have more on the surface. Who do you think has more teams miss the playoffs from the year before, AFC or NFC?
NFC. Way more. There's so much parity.
Yeah.
The NFC is the equivalent to the Eastern Conference in basketball.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, couple of stud teams, but you're like, the champion's definitely not coming out of here.
Or the champion can only be one team from that conference. Like
Correct.
The Celtics, since like November, everyone's like, yeah, they're probably going to win the East.
Oh, brother.
Unless someone gets hurt, which the same thing with the Niners. Everyone was like, it's either going to be Philly. This time last year it was Philly or the Niners.
Right.
And then you had like a second tier of a shitload of teams that you're like, yeah, if things go well, right? But you knew for a fact the Niners were going to be there and Philly was going to be there. And they both did make the playoffs. The Niners ended up going to the Super Bowl, goes into overtime. So yeah, that's a good take, man. Because then on the West, like, bro, Mavs, Thunders, Wolves, Nuggets. If you're not one of those 4 teams, bro, moving forward, like the Suns, Clippers, Lakers, like who even cares who's going to be? Is Chris Paul might go to the Lakers? Like that don't even matter, bro. At this point, like it's a wrap, you know. So I kind of feel that way with the AFC too. Before we go, Patreon.com/veterans minimum. Let's do a roll call and give a shout out to all the members of the Patreon. We're at 72 paid members. Thank you all for the contributions to the Patreon. Daniel Gibson, Mahul Patel, Abel Rezin, Ben Kotzian, Christopher Velasquez, Derek Plates, Dylan Chadwick, Jerry Shapiro, Jordan Riley, Mike Stevens, Mike Wozniak, Nick Crummich, Thomas Robinson, and shout out to 2 new members of the Patreon. We got Colton Hubbard and
from Idaho.
From Idaho, yeah. Shout out to him. And then we got Cooper. No last name. I guess he's a Brazilian soccer player going by one last name. Wow, imagine.
Okay.
Word. Eagles drafted a white corner. That's crazy. But yo, he could ball. So yeah, thank you all for listening. Let us know your 3 in, 3 out. All things Veterans Minimum or at Veterans Minimum. Maddie, you're the man. Thanks for the voucher. I appreciate that. I got the benefit off all these giveaways that Maddie does. So that was very, very kind to him. Shouts to Maddie. Maddie, let them know where they can find you and all the stuff you're working on.
Yeah, just at Maddie Betts everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. At Maddie Betts, 2 S's.
Make sure you don't get scanned by some of these Facebook people he's been going off about. Which also, by the way, rule of thumb. No influencer, no person of status or a following is ever going to ask their fans to loan them money.
Yeah.
So if you get scammed or you get duped, it's kind of your fault. Like,
yeah.
It's a part of me feels terrible, and then the other part of me is like, yo, don't be a dumbass, dude.
Yeah,
like,
don't be an idiot, bro.
But the problem is these scammers are smart too. They're like, oh, put some money here. I'll put money in. Like they just have a certain message in that tricks gamblers. You know, that's the thing.
It's sad. It's also embarrassing if you're on that end. Like, dude, I had someone DM me saying that it was Cam. I was like, you're gonna DM me, tell me your camera on. Like, literally, I'll call him right now if I need to. Right? Like, come on, bro. Just be a little.
No,
smarter.
the hackers have gotten so good. They're like, let's make fake accounts to say, hey, I was hacked by this person.
Yeah,
I feel bad.
Yeah.
It's getting elaborate, dude.
Just be careful out there.
Crazy.
Be careful out there. At Nick Dais 10 you can find me. All things Veterans Minimum, or I have Veterans Minimum. George.
At Mr. George Carmona is where you can find me on Instagram. Give me a follow. That's that.
We'll catch you guys next time.
In his element, I'm a gold medalist, bronze like your medal is. So many deer in headlights, but it's bedtime. Hear that supper bell, main course, be the venison.
Dab. Most dangerous game. Either kill or be killed.